I want to say this on air. I refuse to drink mud water uh, because I
Oh
hate
shit!
the
I forgot that was
advertising.
even a
It's so
thing. I was
stupid.
just yeah. No, that was not
Yeah,
what I
and
was
I don't know
referencing
why
with
that
that.
pops up. Like sometimes, like, do you guys get offended by the shit that pops up for your like suggested advertising? Like that happens to me all the time. I'm like, man, like, why do you think I want to see this? Like, I don't. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, why did you think that I like this based off of whatever I've been watching? I guess the algorithm. Yeah.
Well, that's the Apple update. Right when Apple updated everything, you essentially stopped having. That's like the debate here is like, okay, well, either everyone's spying on you all the time, and then you get like a pretty targeted ad and advertising experience where you're seeing things that you probably actually want to see, or it's like you just block all that entirely, and then you just get blasted with ads, and it's like, well, maybe this is relevant, maybe it's not relevant. Who knows?
I don't need anyone telling me what I like, but it happens either way. So it ends up being more like it's a good filter of things I don't like. It's like here you're 30 years old, you're a male. Here's all this stuff. And I'm like, this is all terrible stuff. This is what people like. I don't. This is why I don't like anybody. This makes sense. Yeah.
I remember when. Sorry, I was gonna say just super quick. I remember when I got out of college. I was probably like early out of college, like 22, 23, whatever it was. And I had not upgraded to a paid version of Spotify yet. And, um, bro, every single ad I got was for like wedding and engagement rings. I was like, all right, we need to pump the brakes here. One, I'm not dating anybody. Two, I have no race at this point to try to get engaged and or married. I'm like, is there a way for me just to hit like stop showing me these? Like it was literally every like 90% of the ads I got were for engagement rings and wedding rings and stuff. Like you guys have way misprofiled me here because this is not. And it's the worst too, right? Because you're in the middle of lifting and you're trying to listen to Spotify, and my cheap ass wouldn't upgrade for a paid Spotify. So you're like, I'm sitting there like getting jacked up, like ready to go hit a like heavy set of deads or squats or something. And all of a sudden, it's like Jared's diamonds. Get her that something really special, and it's just like the biggest buzzkill moment.
Genius marketing because they knew you were going to start having a panic attack. You're like, ah, no, it's fine, I'll pay.
I know. That's true. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like, I'm just going to bombard you with the most annoying ads imaginable. So you're just going to upgrade and pay us the money so that we don't do that anymore to you.
Yeah.
Kieran, what were you going to say? You had something and then I totally cut you off.
Oh no, so I guess we're not getting a Mudwater sponsorship. That's like the anti-sponsorship.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. Literally nothing. I've seen the ads. I know what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm drinking mud.
The best is the. Did you see the toxic poop guy?
No, this is news to me. Please, I am intrigued.
Just it'll probably pop up just from us talking about it. But it's the guy with the beard. He's like, "Do you know that you have up to 20 pounds of toxic poop in you right now?"
You have 20 pounds of toxic poop. So is he selling a diuretic? Is he selling like a something that just makes you just like shit your brains out?
I've seen that much of it. That's literally it.
Yeah. I don't know what happens after that, but
He doesn't sell you anything. He's just telling you that you have toxic poop inside of you.
I think he just wanted to tell you that. No, I never make it past the first 5 seconds, so I have no idea what it's actually for.
Dude, the only solution, like the only product I would think, if that's your intro, hey, you're full of toxic poop. The clear solution is getting rid of the poop, right? And so it's like, well, I mean, like there are a lot of things that just make you diarrhea yourself out. I mean, unless he's going to try to sell you something that, like, granted, people will sell anything. So it's like he's going to sell you something that's going to make your poop. Like, oh my God, I just like, I hate it, dude. I can't stand the internet and the advertising. It's just mind blowing. Everything though. Do you guys remember the original Squatty Potty ads? With like the unicorn. Have you guys watched this? But the unicorn that sits there and they showed like the sphincter, like the thing being kinked and unkinked, and like the soft serve ice cream coming out. That was gold.
So good. Eating ice cream. Oh my god. That was like a 4.5 minute commercial. I'm like, I'm buying whatever this is that they're selling just because this is the most incredible thing. I was so happy when I first saw that. Yeah.
That's what all ads need to be. That's the barrier to entry.
Speaking of exercise, actually, do you guys want to hear a quick story about how terrible of a middle schooler I was? All my friends. So we had a friend that came in with a chocolate X-Lax bar, and there was this kid. Like every, you know, you always have kid in your group who you just kind of fuck with all the time, right? Like this just like that one designated kid, right? So we had this dude in our group. We are all sitting at the table and we're like, yo, let's see if we can get this guy to eat this X-Lax bar. And so we just it literally says like X-Lax on every piece of chocolate. There's like 8 squares of chocolate, each one say like laxative on it. So we just like we're like, oh, we'll just scrape it off. So we just like scraped it off with a plastic knife, so you couldn't really see the logo anymore. And we're like, hey, I don't really want this chocolate bar. It kind of tastes like shit or something. And he's like, ah, fuck it, I'll eat it. And so the dude ate like 9 servings of X-Lax. And we're in like 7th or 8th grade or something like that. And it's just like a ticking time bomb. Like this dude's butthole is about to explode. Like there's no stopping it. Like and I was the only one apparently with a conscious kid, and maybe it was just because I had him like in every class after that. Like I knew I was gonna be sitting in earth science with him, and like he was gonna. And this is at the time where you had to like raise your hand to go to the bathroom too. So it's like there's no time for that. The bathroom's all the way down the hall. Like I'm trying to do the math. I'm like, there's no way this kid's gonna make it. And this is like a career ruining moment for someone in middle school, right? Like you're not coming back for this. It happens to you in school. And so I finally told him, I was like, dude, you got to call your mom right now. And she's got to pick you up. And I was like, and he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you just ate like 9 servings of laxative. Like you have to leave the school immediately. Like you can't stay here. And he was like, I feel fine. He actually kind of like laughed. He's like, that's hilarious. I'm like, it's not going to be funny in like 20 minutes, dude. You got to get out of here. And he's like, no, I think I'm fine. I think I'm going to make it. I'm like, all right. This is I did as much as I could do for you. But he did call his mom. His mom picked him up. He said he was at home just like playing video games, just chilling. And all of a sudden it hit. And within like 15 seconds of like knowing he had to poop, he was explosively pooping. Like it was like there was no stopping it. Like right, like, it was just yeah. So
He just excavated all of his innards.
yeah, he was like it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Like I'm like yeah, are you not happy that you were not sitting in earth science when that happened? Because that would have been an experiment that you would not want to carry out in school. So
I'm not gonna lie, that story just makes me think of the Big Mouth that we watched during the training camp. When he's like, "Take it easy, brother. We're like 200 yards from the closest bathroom. Fuck it, if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it."
yeah, definitely the Netflix show recommendation if you guys haven't seen it, Big Mouth. Oh my god, amazing.
Do you guys see that they came out with was it I think Human Resources? Keiran, maybe you were talking about this. It's pretty much like Big Mouth meets The Office, and so it's like all of the hormone monsters are like at their place of work.
Yeah, I got to see that. I haven't been able to watch much of it lately. I haven't really been watching anything, but God, yeah, that I've watched that first episode like 4 times already.
There is the poop baby episode. Not to give too much away, but in like season 3 or 4, that's pretty spot on with this conversation. So
Nice, yeah, good things to come. Like you never just because you get older doesn't mean you have to get more mature.
No, it's just it's a fake. It's a totally fake thing. Like I don't think anybody actually ever like grows up, becomes mature. We just get really good at faking it around everybody until we have the opportunity to then just like put down our guard and be like, yeah, I'm still a 13-year-old child on the inside, and I'm gonna laugh at poop jokes. Yeah, dude. Speaking of poop, we're 10 minutes in. We're gonna transition to talk about something useful here in a second, but. In middle school, I have such a vivid memory of this, and if he ever listens to this, he's gonna laugh. I hope. But I remember, so at like the school I went to, we had like those relos, like those outdoor, like people. I don't know what you would call them. We called them relos. People call them whatever they want, right? It's kind of like it's like an outdoor classroom thing with the doors and all that other stuff, etc. And so like we're at the very end of this thing, right? So like we're a pretty good distance from like the closest bathroom, and we're in 6th grade, so you're still a complete child at this point. And we're sitting there like waiting to go into English class because you had like break before you go into your next round of classes. And I'm sitting there with my buddy. It's me, him, and one other person. And like at this age, you still think that farting is like the funniest thing going, right? And so like my buddy sits there, he looks at us like, guys, listen to this. And you see him like he kind of like gears up and like he's going for it. He's like, oh, this is gonna be a good one. And then all of a sudden, like you don't really hear anything, but his face just drops. And it's just like, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh shit!" He doesn't say a word. He doesn't say a word. He just turns and runs away. He just runs down the thing, and I'm like, what happened? Like my other friend and I look at each other. We're like, hope he's okay. Yeah, and then yeah, I guess he gambled and he lost.
You can't trust all farts.
You can't trust. That's a very. Hey, you learned that rule early in life, 6th grade. It's a good time to learn that. Okay, so now that we've successfully spent 10 minutes talking about poop and other things, uh, let's transition, dude. So, a little training camp debrief here. I always enjoy doing these. So, we had our training camp out here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, I guess that was 3 weeks ago now, and things have been super crazy, hectic, busy for everybody. So, we finally get a chance to sit down and kind of recap some of our biggest takeaways from that weekend. It was a blast. I'll just read. I've got like a bunch of stuff pulled up over here from the people that came, but I'll just read this one here because I think it's a good synopsis. I had a really good time this past weekend, learned a lot, had fun, enjoyed meeting the coaches, and walked away with so much knowledge and excitement about my training, learning, lifting, food, fellowship, and fun. I was like, perfect. That's a great description. That's kind of exactly what I want to hear from people coming out of these. But this one we ran a little bit different than the previous. Like the previous ones, we kind of just did it live, if you will. This one was a lot of fun. Like I thought that based off the feedback that we've gotten here, pretty much everybody's favorite part of the weekend were the breakouts and like the really just dialed in 30 minutes of coaching on the different, like on either the big three on day one, we had squat, bench, and dead stations. And then on day two, where we had more like athletic plyo jump throw stuff, upper accessories and lower accessories. That was like the biggest feedback from people is they really enjoyed that. And then I had one person who said that the highlight of the weekend was clearly the assault bike team relay race, which wrecked some souls. That was not team assault bike sprints, obviously. But I'll let you guys kick this off here. What was kind of what were some big takeaways for you from the weekend? Keiran, maybe if you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the breakouts, I mean, even selfishly, I'm like always kind of like half listening in the background, trying to like pick up some of your guys' coaching cues. But the breakouts were awesome. My favorite part is just the community aspect and getting to meet everybody and like being able to unplug a little bit and all just kind of like when we were all hanging out at the park and like playing paddle and like all the different like what's the wood game that we were playing?
Yeah, I don't even remember what that was called, but that was a fun game.
Yeah, but just like getting to know everybody offline, and then it's just like even that much better of a relationship when we're checking in on Monday, back online and things like that. So I just love getting to meet everybody in person. This was such a great group that we got. It was the biggest group that we've had, or at least I've been to. So that I think the community and getting to meet people was my favorite part of this one.
Yeah, similar. Like, I mean, as far as like the breakouts go, that was like the one thing that I was bummed about being a coach at the at the event. It's like I really just want to like sit in for what you guys were doing. I'm like, let me listen to what's going on. I mean, like James putting together that impromptu crash course on oxygen was amazing. And like trying to get to hearing Kieran and Ryan and James doing your thing like with coaching, I was like, damn, I wish I could just kind of sit and listen. But yeah, I mean, it's similar. Like just the community part is just so fun. There's just so many like really intelligent, interesting people at these groups, and so humble. Like being in the facility that Blake owns and him asking us questions and like being okay to try different things and have a different perspective and in his own facility is like it's really really cool. Like I mean everybody kind of approach it that way too. It's just this like how can I think about things differently and be better and and just everyone providing something, like everyone adding to the group. Like I'm always impressed with the kinds of people that come to these types of things. and I always learn a ton from them, even outside of training. It's just yeah, it's amazing. And then yeah, going back and it just you see the interaction is just it's different when once you've met those people in person, and you see that like on the forum as well with people that have been to the camps and. So yeah, it's great. Like I hope that everyone comes out to one of these things at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a couple of the takeaways for me are just how hungry people are for, I think, community and for friendship and family. And a lot of it is just revolve around the fact that it's really, really difficult to find people who care as much about training and nutrition and the sort of kind of ways that we choose to live our lives and the things that we choose to prioritize. Like I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, I have a good support network in my life between like my friends and my family and all this other stuff. And she said they're an amazing emotional support network for me. She's like, but they also just don't really understand like my love of like lifting and training and like wanting to be super active and this whole thing. Like they just don't get that. Like that's just not on their radar. Like they support me in doing it, but they don't do it and they don't get it. And I think giving people the opportunity to actually come and be surrounded by other humans that care about the same shit as them for a whole weekend, just be able to lift and have fun is like really rare. It doesn't happen that much. And that was another light bulb for me is just how many of our people are lifting and training alone. Like maybe they even like they're going to a gym or something, or they're in their own garage gym, but it still feels pretty isolated for them. So I think giving people that in-person touch and that in-person community is just so important, like you guys mentioned, so that when we do go back to our own places, we still have our team forum and we still have the ability to interact with each other. It's just at a different level than it was previously because we actually have like met in real life and face to face. The other one for me, more technical, was that I thought in the breakouts, one of the things for me that I noticed is that there's just no replacement for that really, I think, good hands-on coaching. And I think that a mistake I was seeing a lot of people make, I don't know if you guys saw this in your groups as well, but we definitely have a more educated group of athletes that we coach, right? Like a good chunk of them are trainers themselves. And the ones who aren't, I would categorize as thinking athletes. Like they just love this stuff. And it's like they're on social media, they're watching, they're listening, they're consuming podcasts. They're constantly engaged because they just enjoy it, right? It's their passion. I found a lot of people they were pushing things too far that they had heard online. There was this like overcorrection in this opposite direction, right? They'd heard people talk about get your ribs down and like this extension thing is super evil, but like they took it way too far in that direction. We talk about like hip shifts and all this other stuff. And I like the people I had like were way too far, right? It's like we're taking this like small thing of just like getting into a little bit of hip shift and we're cranking it like way past where it needs to be. And so I was actually pulling people out of hip shifts and I was pulling people out of flexion because they had taken it way too far, either cueing themselves or from something they had heard online from somebody who's like, oh yeah, well, we've got to get this thing down like this. Or it's like, well, we got to rotate all the way over here. And it's like, yeah, they're like, man, this exercise just feels like shit. I'm like, yeah, it feels like shit. Like you can't, we're going too far. Like we got to reel back the intent. Like the intent is correct. It's just the degree to which you're trying to execute at is way too far. I don't know if you guys saw something similar in your groups.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was one thing I was going to mention on like the technical side. I'm glad you brought it up because I had like the squatting group, and I think that there's been a lot of talk about this creating this verticality in the squat, and there's a place for that for sure, but it really has to do with the variation of the squat and where the load is in a lot of ways, and you have to take that into account that it is going to be a large spectrum of different types of squats, specifically based off of where the loading is. And having access to that transformer bar makes it really obvious when you see it and you feel it when you do these put the bar in different position essentially. Put the load in a different position, and it should change the way that squat looks. Like not a goblet squat should not look exactly like a low bar back squat. They're different things, and so it's that was a big thing that I saw is you have people along with like wanting to posteriorly tilt and retract their rib cage. They're wanting to try to stay super upright with every variation of the squat, and I don't really think that that's appropriate. And when you get people just kind of like get the bar in the right position, get their axial skeleton in the right position, and then just let it happen. It'll usually just go where you should be going anyway. It's like I don't, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone else, right? Like I think I was pushing a lot of this stuff at one point as well. But it's like if a deadlift is okay, we're getting into a full hinge, and like why is a little bit of a hinge so bad when you have a bar on your back inherently? So I think just letting people feel that and seeing like enough people go through it, it's really cool with our groups because they are, like you said, very educated already, and they usually have pretty good body awareness. So they can make those adjustments, and they actually have really good sensory feedback, so they can kind of tell you where they're feeling things and where they're not feeling things. And so it's pretty cool just to run like a bunch of people through that. And for me, it was just like more confirming of just like, yeah, remember this is a spectrum, guys. Like so. I thought that was pretty cool, but kind of along the same lines as you're talking about.
Yeah, I think when I was running the bench station, actually getting them almost the other side of the coin, people really did well to like find and feel the bench a little bit more, just to clear up a little more movement out of the shoulders or take some pressure off their low backs or whatever. But then it was interesting. A lot of the like limitations or like pinching that people were feeling and stuff, we cleared up with just like cueing a little bit of a left low back or getting a little heavier on that side, and it was great. And I think James, you had come over and just kind of like noticed a couple people and had mentioned it, but just whatever side of the spectrum you're on, to your point, right? Like maybe need a little, you can, you're not going to die if you extend a little bit, or like, hey, let's just give you a little more reference just to make things feel a little bit better so we can train a little bit longer without running into those pain issues. So I think that's always a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. Like, we know we want to find somewhere in the middle, probably which way do I have to shift to do that? And then the day two, when I was doing a lot of the sprint jump plyo with people, it was kind of early, so I didn't want to do any like intensive things with people. So we went over a lot more of the extensive methods. But that was kind of cool because just seeing how much people benefit from just learning to relax a little in that, to find a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of balance. Like you can't muscle your way through a lot of those movements. So just getting a sense of like what it's like to actually relax and have a little bit of flow with a lot of those movements was pretty cool to see. Once people, it kind of clicked for them that, they could throttle back a little bit and it'll actually improve some of those movements for them.
Yeah, I think both of those points are really good. I think that, and the thing that I think both of you touched on, maybe said a little bit better than I did, is in people kind of pushing these cues that they've heard from one place or another too far, there's also like way too much overthinking and overanalyzing going on, like while training and while in the movement. It's like you see these people here, and it's like they've clearly been overcoached and overcued at different times, or they've just heard so many different things on the internet. Like they're going to do this exercise, like let's do like a wall supported one leg RDL, right? And like I'm watching them do it, and you can literally, I'm like, I can see like the gears turning in their brain where they're like trying to think about 27 things. They're like, okay, like I need this, and this has got to come here, and this has got to be here, and then I'm going to rotate over here and do this thing. And it just looks really like clunky and weird and like robotic. And sometimes you just got to go to them and be like, all right, guys, like just chill, just relax, like just trust your setup. Right? Like just push this thing here, just feel this thing here, and like just do the exercise. Just go. It's going to be okay. Like you got to just like relax and give yourself some room to play and explore here. Like if you're just super tense and you're really overthinking the movement, that's not where we really want you to be. Right? Like you should have maybe like one or two cues, and ideally those cues are going to be external in some way. Like I'm just trying to have you like find and feel something, right? Like on that wall supported single leg RDL, it's like, cool, just push your back foot into the wall, feel your front heel, and then just fall out over your front foot. Okay, let's go. Let's just get some reps in and see how this feels. But a lot of it was just trying to get people out of their own way. Like they were essentially like their own handbrake, and it wasn't going well. So once you kind of got them out of their own way and freed them up a little bit, everything was just so much smoother, so much easier, and felt way better. And so I think that's a big one a lot of times, is just some people just get way overcoached, way overcued. They got way too much going on in the dome to really be successful there. And then I think the thing that you had mentioned with the bench that was really interesting, like, because we had Mike there and we were doing an incline bench variation with him, right? And it was interesting because if you like watched Mike do his incline bench and you just like got low and actually like looked at like his pec left versus right, it looked visibly like this dude had like a massive hypertrophied left pec and this massive like atrophied right pec. It was like a very, very noticeable difference, right? And I mean, it's not really like a difference in hypertrophy from side to side. It's just a difference in where he could get airflow. You know, it's like he essentially did a really good job of getting airflow into his left chest wall. So this left chest wall looked nice, big. It looked full, right? But he couldn't get airflow worth anything into his right chest wall, so it was a little bit more depressed. It looked empty. And as soon as you kind of just got him a cue to, hey, bro, just be aware and just feel your left low back into that bench, right? Like if it's a Velcro, just give me a little bit of Velcro. Just be aware of that left low back while you bench. That's all I want you to think about. Then all of a sudden, like he gets a few reps in, he starts breathing, and we get like an evening out effect because we start getting airflow into both chest walls. It's like, cool. Now this doesn't look like you have, you know, offset boobs. And so I think like it's that fine balance for people of figuring out like where are those details that we need to focus to clean it up, and where are the things that we need you just to think less, right? Do less, just like forgetting Sarah Marshall one-on-one. Do less. So you gotta do more than that. We'll figure it out while we're out there.
Totally. Yeah. That's it. It's a tricky thing, like as a coach to figure out where that is. But I think that, again, to me, it's like it kind of just comes down to the setup in a lot of ways with a lot of these things. Like I even see it's interesting with something like squatting. I guess I'm going to be obsessed with squatting again for today, with what's new. But a lot, when you see like these weird, like rotational kind of things going on, or just like, it's like, oh man, every time I get to the bottom, I like shift my hips to the left or something. Or it's like a lot of times that stuff gets cleaned up. There's all this stuff. Previously, I probably would have done like, all right, let me like R&T you on that side, like let me push into it and you push away from it, and like all these like, or maybe I'll have you do this like single leg drill before you go into your squat, and like it's usually just like they just need to set up better, like, and a lot of times when you do that, it's like all of a sudden they can get their femurs into a more symmetrical position. They don't need to be perfectly symmetrical, but it's most of the time it's just something like that, and it's the same example that you guys were talking about there. It's like you didn't tell them that I want you to really think about that right pec when you press, or I want you to really try to breathe into that right side or something. It was just like, no, like you're like, if we look at the rest of the setup, like you're, for whatever reason, we can get into the mechanistic stuff of why this might be the case, but it doesn't really matter. I just need you to feel that left low back, and like lo and behold, that changes the exercise completely. And something that you think would have been a little bit more complicated. It's usually just like nail the setup, nail the foundational stuff. If you don't know how to, like if that guy can't get his pelvis to posteriorly tilt and be able to actually get his lower back on the bench, then you go backwards. Like it's like, okay, I need to teach you how to do that. Like if you haven't learned how to do that, then you're going to run into a bunch of problems. So I think a lot of times it is that simple. And then if it's not, then you can get into some of the fancy stuff, or you just really ask yourself, are you just being overly critical here with some of the techniques? Because that happens quite often as well, where you just kind of drive yourself crazy as a coach, like wanting everything to look perfect, and we have to realize that we're also like not perfectly symmetrical beings. So maybe give it a little bit of a break sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys crushed it, but the setup is key, right? Because then, like, like I'm sure everybody does this, but you think back to like how you used to coach and stuff. To your point of like, all right, we're going to talk about 5 different things while you're under load, and then I think you're going to PR because I've just corrected everything, and you're like, now I'm confused. I know you're confused, so just taking the 2 extra seconds at the get go to like dial maybe that one like low hanging fruit cue in, and it's a better experience for everybody. You get to work hard, you feel better, like everything else will come along with that.
I have found over time that there is usually 9 point whatever times out of 10, there's usually a very, very, very simple answer that's going to get you a great fix. But for whatever reason, we always like to chase the most complex, complicated way of trying to do things. Maybe that's just us being humans. But it's like the vast majority of the time, the solution is usually something incredibly simple. And like it's our job and goal as coaches to try to figure out like what is that really simple thing. Because as you guys mentioned, like I just think the setup gets so overlooked sometimes. It's like, well, if we just get the setup right, then just trust yourself and go. Like everything is going to be okay. And if it looks like a total, complete and utter train wreck, then we'll make an adjustment. But I don't know. It's like that's something I've noticed recently too when like our athletes are sending a lot of videos right now for form check and feedback stuff. And it's like it's usually like suture just like simple things. Just like totally it totally changes the game for them. It's like let's just do this instead. Think about this one thing. Or like, oh, just use this one little bit here. Right? It's like we don't need to make this super hard and super complicated. There are very simple solutions to solve these problems. And if there aren't, then we start trying more complex things. Or maybe you are you're a weird one, and like maybe you just need to get referred out because like right, like sometimes weird people, you just need a different level of detail, attention, and focus. You know, yeah, I don't know. I'm just simplicity wins. It always does, and I think that we're in a rush sometimes, and we just forget that.
I mean, you're dealing with such like a complex organism with so much other stuff going on. It's like there's already so many like cofactors that are like you have to deal with of like what happened before they came in the gym, what's going on, like all this other stuff. So it's just like I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like you take the complex like biomechanics or whatever like view that you have for movement and like the background of that and the that being the input and like the output, you want like this like nice simple movement. So it's like that part in the middle is like that setup, right, where you can actually get the things that you want out of that.
Yeah, I think again that's it's having the hands-on stuff is really nice, and I actually like that I love that model of there being like these check-ins every like in person. If you could do a check-in every 12 to 16 weeks, every 6 months or something like that, because a lot of times the corrections are very simple, and then they have to actually go and learn it, which I think is a huge advantage to having kind of that hybrid model in a sense is if I, we've all worked with people in person week after week after week where we just do the same exact cueing every time we have to correct it. And it's like, cause they never have to learn, like you're enabling them completely. Like you're going to there's no reason for them to have to really learn it. But having, especially the level of athletes that we have in the group, like it makes it really easy to just make those minor adjustments and then let them go back and play with it and keep sending videos for minor adjustments if we need to. But it does make it like that much easier where it's like sometimes you're giving someone this cue online for a little while and it just doesn't really click, and then you can just like take their pelvis and just like that's what it was. And like, oh shit, like that's that extra little piece that I needed, and now I can just go and do that, and really solidify it. So but it's usually not like we're gonna see them and now I have them in person. I'm gonna give them this completely different cue that they've never even heard of. It's like here's the thing that I was kind of trying to get you to do. Like it's probably not going to be anything revolutionary. It's just simple things done really really well. There's some kind of quote like that, right? But it wasn't that.
That was it. That was an exact quote actually. But yeah, no, I agree. I think like the model of, I think our goal is if we can make it work to do a training camp every quarter. That way, like you're kind of on that every 12 weeks or so, like we're able to get somebody in and like kind of retouch base, work on what they're working on, get hands on, meet a bunch of people, throw down, have fun. Like, I think that's like a very appropriate touch point rhythm for our population of people because we're not training beginners. Like, if you're with us, you have to have at least 2 years of training experience anyways, because I just don't think that any beginner should really train online. Like, just my own personal opinion. I really think that my biggest takeaway from the weekend, though, was that you got to make sure that you don't use the wrong bar when you're doing RDLs at the gym, because then someone's going to come over to you in the middle of your set and tell you that you have to change bars when you have one set left and you've got like 455 on the bar and you have to like strip all this shit off. Keiran, you missed this, dude. So we went and lifted on Monday, and I'm kind of towards the tail end of my lift. I don't remember what I was doing at that point, but I look over and Ryan's doing pretty significantly heavy RDLs, and it's like he's like going into his last set, and this dude at the gym comes over. He's like, "Hey, could you use a different bar? This is a new bar, and we don't want this bar to get banged up." I'm like, he's not doing fucking rack pulls. Like, I don't know what the issue is here. Oh my god. I was like, this is not good look, man.
That was probably like one of the most confusing experiences I've ever had in a gym. Like I was so confused. I like there's this dude. Like there were so many things going through my mind. I racked this bar, and I think I was like it was like a set of like 500 with RDLs or whatever, and and he's standing there with another bar, like, and you're standing there, and I'm like, oh, this guy. So my first thought is like, this guy's on his way to another rack, and he's your friend, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I don't really want to talk to this guy, but whatever. I mean, hi, how's it going? I kind of I don't really like talking while you train, but whatever. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, cool. And and he's like. He's still standing there with this bar, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, he just said hi to you. Like, why are you not going to do your thing? And then he's like, hey, do you mind changing bars? And I was like, why would I change bars? This one works. I just use this bar. It's totally fine. I don't know why would I. No, I don't need. I don't, why would I change a bar? I don't understand. And then it's like no, I really want you to change bars because this is a new bar. I don't understand. Like this is like the crazy shit I've ever like. It's because it's orange. Like it's like a fancy bar. Like I don't. And it's like I'm in a bodybuilding fucking gym. Like that's the thing. That's like I would understand like if I was in a gym that you're not supposed to lift weights in because those places do exist. But it's like this looks like I belong here. Like I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing here. Uh, and it's like, dude, also like these bars are tested for like 2,000 pounds. Like they're it's not like a Kmart bar. Like this is like a real bar.
And you're not over there like just like banging this thing on like the bar pins, like
What do you think I'm doing? Yeah, I mean it's literally not even touching anything. Like it's an RDL. Like it's not even. There's no chance that anything bad. It was very confusing.
I was confused for you. I was confused for you.
Yeah, it was really weird. And I even asked, I was like, dude, I got one more set. You think I could just do the last set? And he's like, no, I really want you to use this bar.
I'd be like, yeah, if you strip this and then load that bar, that's totally fine.
That's the thing too. I don't think he helped me move. Did he help me? You
No,
did.
I did. I was like, I actually like I wasn't. I didn't even haven't been over there. I saw him standing there at the bar, and I was like, what's going on? So I walked over.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, guys, I just completely ignored him because that's what I always do when people are like trying to talk to me when I work out. Like I'm gonna give them like it's gonna take you like 30 seconds at least for me to acknowledge you because I'm like I just don't like. There's nothing you're gonna tell me right now that I really care about that much. Like that's more important than what I'm doing. I'm sorry. If the building is burning down, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Um,
smoke. I have other signals to tell me this is happening.
if I want to get out, I will. Like it's fine. But yeah, it was the most bizarre thing,
But that hack squat's pretty sweet though.
dude. I mean, it's still worth it. Like I'd definitely go back.
That hack squat's money. I would just wish. Well, it's like anything. It's like, is there a way for me to just take all the equipment you have, but then like not let anyone else come here, but who I want to have come with me?
It's a weird vibe. Like it's like they're trying to transition into like a more Gen Pop friendly kind of place, but it's like it's a bodybuilding gym. Like the equipment is incredible. Yeah, like that. I mean that hack squat is unlike anything that I've ever used before in terms of hack squats. Like you can actually get a really full range of motion on it. It's that platform being able to adjust is just incredible. Like I actually looked up. Like I can see how much one of these things costs. They're like 5 grand, like used. Uh, which I might still buy. I don't know where I'm gonna put it in my living room. Maybe I don't know.
They make them here. They make them here in Knoxville, dude. We'll buy one, pick it up from the warehouse, and just drive it out to Austin, Texas. I have no idea how far of a drive that would be.
I mean, it's only a 2 hour flight. You know, I get that Allegiant flight. Like I could just come stay at your house every weekend so I can hack squat on Monday. You know,
Yeah, dude, you're more than welcome. That South Terminal. I'm really glad you had mentioned that because that like threw me for a loop when we got to Austin this last weekend off that Allegiant flight. I'm like, where in the Christ are we right now? This like little tiny. I kind of like it though because there's no one there.
oh, it takes 2 seconds. I mean, yeah. Imagine my confusion when I went to the regular. It checked in to the regular terminal. That's 20 minutes away, and realized that Allegiant doesn't fly out of it. So yeah, I was able to make it in time. Luckily.
Oh, man down, man down. He's frozen. Oh, there we go. He's
Oh, I'm
back.
back. Yeah, yeah. I was talking about
Maybe that recorded. Maybe it recorded. Maybe it didn't. Who knows?
you guys froze and I didn't. So I think I
That's good. Either way, it's a 15-hour drive from Knoxville to Austin, and vice versa. That's a little far. That's a little far. Well, nice dudes. Let's wrap this up here. We don't have our next training camp on the books yet, but once we do, we'll ping out and let everybody know when and where that is going to take place. But yeah, this is like the first live podcast we've done in a while. Been running some flashbacks, so good to get it rolling again. On point. All right, fam. Everybody have a fantastic week, and yeah, I'll talk to you next Monday.